Hello and welcome to a new video. Today it's time for my bookshelf reorganisation. Now I have actually done it. I did it yesterday. I'm currently filming this on Sunday. I did the organisation on Saturday. I did some b-roll, so I'm going to be wearing different clothes obviously. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you the b-roll of my process. Usually when I do a bookshelf reorganisation, I take every single book off my shelf and then reorganise. I did not have the time or patience to do that this time round. So what I did, I had piles, you might have seen in my vlog, I had like 3 piles of books in front of this bookcase the other day, which were mostly books that I have received in the last 2 months and just haven't been able to find space for. And then obviously I did my unhaul just before Christmas, so I had some space to work with. And I also did purchase a new bookcase. I have been trying to think if there's a way of fitting another bookcase in my room, and I did it. It is a very small one, but it was the perfect size that I needed, like perfect to what I needed. And it means I've got space for more Funkos on top of it. Priorities, right? So yeah, I didn't take every single book off my shelf. I took those books that were in piles on the floor and overfilling certain shelves of my book carts, and I put them all on my bed, and then I just started sort of shelf by shelf, just taking some books off that I didn't want on that shelf anymore and moved stuff around. And I'm actually really happy. It looks so different, especially one shelf in particular. So if you watch my unhaul, you'll know that I unhauled my my Sarah J Maas paperbacks. The only Sarah J Maas paperback I've still got is House of Earth and Blood, and I am sort of debating whether I'm going to keep that or not. Haven't decided yet, but I did get rid of the Throne of Glass books, so in paperback. I've still got my hardbacks, so yeah, that shelf especially looks very different because that shelf had that was basically Sarah J Maas and Holly Black. I have moved my Holly Black books now. I'm gonna be completely honest, a lot of the deeper shelves, these ones aren't, but the other ones are double stacked. I don't have enough space to not double stack shelves, unfortunately. But I've tried to like put books that I have read behind, in some cases anyway. But we'll see. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to go ahead and show you, and then yeah. Okay, so that was like a solid 5-6 hours of work. So now I'm just going to show you the shelves. I'm not pulling out every book. This is not a bookshelf tour. It is just to give you a rough idea of how everything is on my shelves now and like how I've rearranged and stuff. So let's go. Okay, so this is just the overview of the main 2 shelves. These are my like 2 biggest shelves. The rest are all like about half this size. So we start here. We have some hardbacks. A few of these are like my favourites, like To Best the Boys. And then we have Melinda Salisbury and Becky Albertalli in that. Then we move down and we have some more hardbacks. And then this one's just sort of like a leftovers, what I could fit on. So we have some middle grade. I'm still really annoyed that The Torchbearers does not match the first 2 books in the series. And then we move down to my V.E. Schwab shelf. As you can see, I have many editions of Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Many. Then we have my special editions of Dark Shadow Magic and everything. Then we move down and we have Sebastian de Castell. We have my non-fiction hardbacks, which are just like a couple of autobiographies and memoirs and stuff. And then Leigh Bardugo. Then we have just mostly YA and adult fantasy, but obviously there's a few editions like Carrie Hope Fletcher, Cersei. Would you class that as fantasy? I don't know, but yeah, so that's basically what that shelf is. And then this one right at the bottom is just, again, YA fantasy. We have some indie authors like Josie Jaffrey and L.L. McRae, and then my Bridget Kemmerer books. I would love to have arcs of the other 2 books in the Cursebreaker series, but it's impossible to get hold of the US arcs for them because that is the US arc for A Heart So Fierce and Broken. And then up here we have my classics. I did not touch this whatsoever. It stayed as it was, and obviously some Funkos as well. And then we move down to my favourite YA contemporary authors. So we have Sarah Bernard with my arcs. I only need one more arc of hers, and it's my favourite book, which is Quiet Kind of Thunder. And then we have also got a lot of Holly Bourne here. And as you can see, I'm collecting Holly Bourne's arcs as well. But this is basically everything Holly Bourne's written, apart from her newer adult one, which is Pretending. But yeah, that's the arc for How Do You Like Me Now, and then we have some YA arcs and Lucy Powery, which I really love. This one was my attempt at a rainbow shelf. So I don't like separating authors or series, so this one was really hard for me. And you will actually see I have had to separate an author on this, but they are both on the same shelf. So Casey McQuiston, both books are pink, so that's fine. But then if you look here, Adam 2 and Orion Lost, they're the same author, but they're not next to each other, but they're close enough. It's fine. And then we have Jeff Giles, which luckily the books, basically the colours work in a rainbow, so they go next to each other, which was so satisfying. Then here we have basically all my like comics, manga, graphic novels, which is a fairly good collection, if I might say so myself. And then obviously my Heartstopper, and then we have some queer YA contemporary, which are some of my favourites. I still need to read It Goes Like This. I need to read it. And then if we move down, we have just loads of YA and adult fantasy hardbacks. Some of these are some of my favourites. So we have the Imperium trilogy by Claire Legrand, Bone Season series, Once a Future Witches, Iron Widow, which are 2 of my favourites of last year. Fire with Fire was my favourite of last year. And then Margaret Rogerson, and then my Stephanie Garber. And I absolutely love how I have the US Once Upon a Broken Heart, because it means I get to display my Fairy Loot one with the edges out, and look how pretty those edges are. They are stunning. And then we move on to this one, which is basically all of my Garthnicks, my Neil Gaiman, my Frostblood arcs, which I'm so happy about. And then like we have a couple of like YA fantasy series, my Havenfall arcs, which I still love, even if Phoenix Flame was a massive disappointment. But it's fine. And then on this bottom shelf here we have basically all my Rick Riordan, and my 13 Doctors Mr. Men collection, and then just some middle grade favourites, and then Kieran Millward Hargrave books. and I absolutely love this arc of the Deathless Girls that I won at Yalk 2019, I think it was. That was a good time. That was a raffle that I won in that. And then we move on to my book cart. So this top bit is basically this month's TBR. The books facing out are my ones that I have already read. And then that's a spare copy of Way of the Argosy. And then these are just like ARC's review copies and a few extras, like these three. They're just extras I couldn't fit on the shelf. I have read Sea Witch, but not the sequel. We'll see. I'll get there eventually. But yeah, the rest of this is just ARCs and review copies that the publishers have sent me or I've won in giveaways. And then this bottom one is usually not this much of a mess. It's usually just books I've hauled this month, and I forgot to put School of Good and Evil on my shelf when I was doing this, but I do have a space for it, so it's fine. And then this one, the top tray on this is basically book box subscription books that I have not yet read and need to read. There's a lot. There is a lot. And then this is the remainder of my self-destruct video that I did in March 2021. Will I get to them all? Probably not. Don't thumbs up that. And then in this little pouch here we have some first in a series that you'll see the sequels in a bit. I've not put the sequels onto my shelves because they're ones I'm not sure if I'll keep after. It will depend on how the second book goes. And then this bottom one is literally just my book sleeves. There's a lot there, as you can tell. Yeah. And then on the top here, also I'd like to say, please ignore the dust. On the top here we have all of my Sarah J Maas and all of my, that's not even all of my Grace and Honey candles, let's be real. That's not even a dent in my Grace and Honey candles. But yeah, and then we move down here and this is the shelf that's changed the most. So we have a fair amount of like adult fantasy, like John Gwynne, Michael J Sullivan and that. So I'm really happy with that. And then we have my Catherine Arden books, one up there, and then my Ember in the Ashes series. I was about to say trilogy, it's not a trilogy. And then my mugs as well, which I love. And then my crystal collection has begun. And then this one is basically J. Kristoff and just sci-fi in general. So yeah, we have loads of sci-fi. These ones at the bottom are some of my favourites. And more mugs. I have a lot of Illumicrate mugs. This is the other bag, so this is the actual sequels that I need to read of those ones that you saw before. Let's just shift that out the way so you can see this bottom shelf. So this is mostly dystopian, so we have a favourite there. Let's move that out the way. And then we have obviously my Hunger Games and 10th anniversary edition Hunger Games, and then Spare and Fun Parts, which is a really good sci-fi. And then more dystopian. And then I don't really count the American Royal series as dystopian, but it's sort of like an alternative universe type thing. So I put that here where I could find space. And then this is my arc of American Royals that I won once again at Yalk 2019. And I love it so much with those blue edges. It's gorgeous. This is my Cassandra Clare shelf. Didn't really do nothing to this shelf, but I really like this shelf. It's less cluttered with the like things on the shelf, and those ones there have to be double stacked. Then we have all my Holly Black books, literally all my Holly Black books, my Sarah Rash books, and my ARCs. I would love to get the rest of the ARCs in these series. I don't know if they actually exist, but if anyone has them for trade, let me know, please. And then if we just move these out of the way, you can see some Brandon Sanderson, plus also like a couple of other randoms. And then behind here is literally the rest of my Brandon Sanderson, all the white paperbacks. And I love them, they're so pretty. Then let's just move this back and put those back and move down. So this is like my YA thrillers. There are a few adult thrillers here. So like I'm pretty sure The Escape by C.L. Taylor was an adult. But then we have my Kira Cass books behind here. And then I'm about, I think, to move those other books over. There we go. And then this is like backfill of more YA sci-fi, and then the Ink series, which is just such a good series. And then we have my Alwyn Hamilton, a couple of, I don't really know what Poison Study and that class has, but then we have my like Witchy and Nightworld books. And then we move on to my retelling shelf, which is overflowing, as you can see. They're not all retellings. My Tom Fletcher are not retellings, and behind these there are more Tom Fletcher and retellings. There's a lot. And then here we have basically all my Darren Shan books. I have like 3 massive series and some others as well. And then we have my Simon Snow, some YA fantasy, some middle grade, and then behind there is literally just some childhood favourites like Gobelino the Witch's Cat. And then we move down to here, and this is a lot of fantasy romance. Behind there is the House of Night series, which obviously is YA fantasy. And then that's literally all of my Rachel Kane, and then my start of my Vampire Academy collection, which the first book is on my TBR cart currently, because obviously that is part of this month's TBR. And then this is my brand new bookcase, which let's just move that out of the way. So this is basically mostly middle grade, so this is like a couple of favourites like Thomas Taylor, Michelle Harrison, and then a couple of extras that I just fit on the shelf. And then if we move down a shelf, there we go, we have Abby Elphinstone, who I think might be my favourite middle grade author, and then we have again a few extras as well. The next shelf is literally TJ Klune and then Raven Boys, and then a few extras. And then the bottom shelf is literally what wouldn't fit on other shelves. That's all I can describe this shelf as. There's a bit of YA horror, there's a bit of YA fantasy, there's some middle grade, and then this is my shelf that goes downstairs. This is basically my major special editions, and we have my Illuma Crate Daughter Smoke and Bone bookends here. But yeah, as you can see, that is my Illuma Crate Empire of the Vampire that's edges out because it's gorgeous. I'm thinking I might get rid of my Tour edition of Court of Silver Flames. I'm not a massive fan of it. I only got it because I had no choice. And then here we have my my Last Hours trilogy books so far, and the Fairy Loot ones have the edges facing out because they are so insanely pretty. And then we move over to my Pride and Joy, which is my Rune editions. I love these, they are stunning. And then we have the other bookend there, and then I'll just do a pan up, and these are all my like Star Wars Funkos, and then a couple of the big Avengers ones. Okay, so that was how my bookcases and book carts now are. Sorry if it's a bit shaky in points. Some of them were really hard to get to with the tripod, so I had to improvise and not use the tripod, and my hand is not the steadiest. See, I'm really happy. I'm actually really happy with how it is. Especially this shelf, I'm really glad I managed to. I'm going to say one more thing. I did actually unhaul a few more books. So obviously I did that massive 80 book unhaul before Christmas, but I've decided to unhaul another 5. So we have my duplicate copy of Song of Sorrow, which is the sequel. This is my just standard non-signed copy. This copy here is signed and personalized, plus it has gorgeous exclusive edges, so obviously I'm keeping that one. So I don't really need this one. This is the edition that I was sent for review, and I read it. So if I reread, which I do want to reread this duology, then I will reread that one. Then we have Cruel Crown by Victoria Aveyard. This is 2 short stories. They actually did decide to put these short stories in Broken Throne, so I actually do have these in Broken Throne now, so I don't really need this one. It's just taking unnecessary room up when I already have the stories inside Broken Throne. So yeah. And then finally, I am actually going to see if my mum wants these, because I know she has been wanting to read these. I'm getting rid of my paperbacks of Dark Shade of Magic. I wasn't going to, I'm going to be completely honest, because I don't actually want to read those editions because they're just too damn nice. But honestly, I just couldn't fit them on the shelf, and I didn't want to overfill my Victoria Schwab shelf for a series that's just a duplicate. Obviously, there is some overfill of V Schwab here, but that is because that is graphic novels and comics. So, of course, that's gonna go with my graphic novels and comics, and I've done it so that it's literally next to it. Whereas these just aren't. You might have seen in the B-roll, I don't know if you could see it, but like I was having so much issues trying to get the Victoria Schwab shelf how I wanted it with everything fitting, and I just in the end gave up and just didn't bother with these. So yeah, I am going to see if my mum wants them. And yeah, we'll see where we go with this one. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video. As stressful as it is trying to fit books on shelves, I actually did have a fun time. So, you know, it felt nice to reorganise, because I haven't reorganised since like before summer last year, and it was good to have a bit of a reorganise. I mean, I basically didn't touch the Cassandra Clare shelf because that is basically the only way I can have the books. So yeah, I do also have special editions downstairs, which I completely forgot about. So I might add a clip in of that. If you saw it, then obviously I did add a clip in. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments below if there's any particular way you organise your books. As you can see, I just sort of like, I do have certain ones that I put together, but a lot of the time it's just a case of, will it fit on the shelf? Yes, awesome. Because I don't really have the space to be picky, or to be too picky anyway. So yeah. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye.